Right.
The
So
other
you get your compass out, Arwin, and realise that it's not south. So now you've got to decide.
It is celestial south. That is how it is defined.
Right. So it's not south, then, is it? Your compass is
No, that
telling you
is
it's
south.
not.
It is celestial south. There
But your
is no
compass is telling you it's
south.
not.
There is only magnetic south and there is celestial south. Those are the souths.
Right. But your compass is telling you it's between 11 and 14
the
degrees
compass
off.
is wrong.
Oh, the compass is wrong.
Yeah, it is only magnetic south, and it is not very reliable method of exploration.
Right. So now you're telling me that you're doing it based on Celestia, right?
Yeah,
or
I have
Stellarium.
been for like 4 times now.
Self-referencing.
But that doesn't prove it's due south.
That is how south has been defined.
Maybe, but it doesn't prove
though,
south.
Arwin. So if you're saying how are you going to determine that this star is south, well, I just decide that star's south. That's what you're essentially saying.
Well, no, he's basing it on the model.
That the southern rotation point of the globe of the heavens is what determines what direction south is at.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Because the globe of the heavens might not necessarily tie into the land, but that's what they do all day long. Not only do they do that,
not only do they do that, relations.
Not only do they do that, they also simultaneously say that a star you can't see is directly south of a star that you can see, and that would be Sigma Octantis. So they're saying, look south, it'll be there. It's not there, you can't see a damn thing, and then when you look with the compass, it doesn't match up. And then if you're going to reference anything, they're saying, well, reference the stars themselves for what star is south. Well, that's a big problem.
The rotation motion of all the stars is very well defined, and there is a technical center point of this all of this motion, and that is south, whether there be a star there or not. That is the central point around which the globe of the heavens is rotating on the south side.
So the problem again, you said it was a moot point, but it isn't a moot point because the problem is
a moot point to prove the shape of the Earth. Absolutely.
No, not to prove the point. No,
can you both back off your microphones a little bit?
The point is, Arwin, is that you said that you could prove south. Now, when you get most people use south by getting north, and they use it through a compass. But when you get that point isn't matching with what you're looking at in the sky because of something called declination. Now, that tells you that you've got to decide with what you accept to be south as what the compass tells you or what the books tell you. So the adjustment for declination needs to be addressed. Now, you're telling me that you're going to go with the declination and dismiss the compass. Okay, that's fine. But if you realize that the compass is telling you something different to what you're pointing at, then I would argue that that's not proving south the way you claim.
No, it is. It is proven to be the more reliable source of navigation. That's why they originally like compasses were used, because it is sort of reliable in certain regions. But then, yeah, when they truly wanted to navigate the entire world, they noticed that it wasn't all of that reliable. It was very confusing. So they then based all of their navigation on the celestial rotation of the heavens, and then mapped out it according to them. So that is what navigation is all about.
On the one hand, you've got a compass that tells you that south is 12 degrees away from what you're actually looking at. And on the other hand, and alternatively, you've got Arwin telling you to look at Celestia.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Was Not Was, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Elms, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
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 So, in the hangar, in the break, we were trying to point out, or I was trying to point out, that we have a contradiction in our hands when we're trying to look south. Arwin claims that south is actually what the Celestia program or whatever tells us, and in contrast, you've got a compass in your hand that's telling you it's between 11 and 14 degrees off. So my point was, well, what is south then? Do we go with what the compass says, or do we go with what the computer says? Because if we go with what the computer says, fine, you have to admit and accept that there is no rotation point in the place that it should be because of magnetic interference of some kind that you have to adjust for. But there shouldn't be the adjustment. There shouldn't be the interference.
No, that's totally nonsensical.
No, there's only one rotation point.
The longitude and latitude lines as are being used on the maps are not based on magnetic direction. They are based on the globe of the heavens. And that's just a fact. You can ask any map maker this fact.
Hey, Pete.
How you doing?
That is how it has been determined. Doesn't prove the shape of the Earth, but that is how the maps are actually being done.
Arwin, do you agree? Can you see my screen, Arwin?
Yeah, nice CGI there.
Do you agree that there's supposed to be 2 rotation points magnetically on the Earth?
According to the heliocentric nonsense, yes.
Right. So that tells you that there shouldn't be anything else to interfere with it other than the compass itself. The compass should line up with this.
That thing doesn't tell me anything. It is complete pseudoscience nonsense.
But this is their model.
I have seen the magnetic maps, the actual magnetic maps of the Earth, disproving this pseudoscience model entirely.
I agree, but my point was, this is what I wanted to discuss with our friend that you decided you want to defend. You wanted to defend.
No, I was only defending in this specific point. He was basically saying, yeah, I am going to deduce by presupposing that the heavenly bodies are all in fixed literal positions, that the Earth must be folded as a globe beneath it. And I was saying that this is a presuppositional mistake. Doesn't mean that you can't actually determine the directions on the Earth with them, because that is how the maps have been designed. That is how longitude and latitude work. Doesn't prove anything about the shape of the Earth. It only proves how the Earth maps have been designed.
So
they are designed.
Our friend that was culled because of your opposition claims or believes that he's seeing south when he sees the rotation of the stars. 3 observers in the south looking in the same sky, seeing the same stars, because this is the ball that he believes that we live on.
Yeah.
I said he can't prove south. You said that you could. Yeah. I then presented you evidence that proved, well, I didn't present the evidence, but I can do if I need to, that declination in Australia is between 11 and 14 degrees. And that is meaning that if you get a compass, it doesn't point to the rotation point. It's about 12, 13, 14 degrees off.
Correct.
Right. So if you're going to claim that it's the adjustment, therefore the declination adjustment, that means that you're adjusting for declination but dismissing this because this is clearly not correct.
Absolutely, I'm dismissing that ridiculous.
Right now, but this is the point that I wanted with James.
All right.
So you're going to, but you then argued south. Now I don't know what south is, but you claim that you can prove it.
Well, south has been determined in accordance of the globe of the heavens in position to the Earth. This is what I always talk about. That is how south has been determined.
Well, south
that is how it works. You could just dismiss it entirely, say like, no, there is no such thing. It's all just magnetic directions and the globe of the heavens, whatever that is. We're not going to take it on in anything. And then you're going to have a very warped map based on magnetic directions. It's not going to make any damn sense.
Right.
So they didn't do that. And instead, they realized, look, this globe of the heavens and the relative positions of these bodies are pretty consistent in relation to distances over the Earth. So we're going to map out things according to that system using longitude and latitude. And then they, of course, presume that it's a globe based on the presupposition that they are in fixed positions.
Arwin, so therefore the longitude and latitude system applies to the sky, right? I've been saying
yes, exactly.
I've been saying this about a flat and stationary Earth. The only coordinate system to be used is a grid-like Cartesian coordinate system, which has its origin point at the 0, north point. But I'd like to hear how, on a rectangular looping map, what you think is reality, Arwin, how the directional system works there. Sorry.
It's very simple. The globe of the heavens, the northern rotation point and the southern rotation point are in opposites, and depending on the further north or south you go, I always get the longitude latitude mixed up. I think, is it longitude north south?
I get it mixed up too.
That's longitude, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, that's latitude.
So depending on the longitude, the axis of the rotation of the globe of the heavens will change. It will
That's
change
latitude.
in angle, and but it always points at the same direction, because the south in a rectangular looping map is always south,
Right.
no matter where you are, and the north is always north, no matter where you are.
It's like taking a big chessboard.
That's the inherent problem, though.
North will be upwards, south will be downwards. So it'll be a completely different system compared to, I guess, our usual view of what a flat Earth map looks like. You know, the circle.
Well, on the disk, it is very surreal. It's much harder to deal with the globe of the heavens, because then if you go south, no matter where you go, the globe of the heavens basically rotates with basically with the position you go. That is it. Hey, it can still be like that. I'm not even denying the possibility, but that is much weirder. It's much more surreal to look at it like that than it is on the rectangular looping model, where the axis will pretty much be fixed and just change when the longitude latitude changes.
Let me just say to Anthony briefly, you of course agree the sun has a limited sort of throw, and anything outside that in terms of water, it will be frozen. I think this is the clue that Neil deGrasse Tyson gives us when he talks about the Earth as an oblate spheroid.
Yeah.
So if the Earth itself is not circular, but a flattened oblate spheroid, i.e. sort of a rugby ball looking thing, this would switch things around, you know, and we can, I think, fit a lot of the pieces into place when we start thinking possibly along these lines.
Yeah, but there's more to it, because he said it's pear-shaped because, and this, I figured this one out, is very interesting. It is because, was it the guy that came in Insanity, I think? And he showed that if you go further north, then suddenly it will require more distance northward for the angle of the globe of the heavens to shift. And I think that is why they call it pear-shaped. Because if you all take the heavens literally, then suddenly you won't be going over that curve as much. You'll be going pretty much straight. And that would suggest kind of a pear shape. I think that is where they deduced the pear shape from.
I think he said that for different reasons, Arwen, but it'd be too long to sort of go into it now. But I'm pretty confident I know what he was referring to here. And there's lots of clues sort of placed for us as well. But I just wanted to say that to Sleeping Warrior as well. I do accept that the sun has a limited sort of throw. And the confines of the Earth are defined by some sort of, icy boundary where the sun has no reach.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I have no confirmation.
No, but it stands to reason, and a lot of this stuff is, I know we talk about the scientific method, but that will take us so far, I feel. When we come into Flat Earth, we're dealing with a whole new sort of realm, a whole new sort of list of possibilities, which would fall outside the scientific verification method. Right?
It's very difficult to verify, because the only way to truly gain a grasp on the literal shape of the Earth and even the layout is not just by orienting according to the celestial bodies, which up until now is the most reliable way to quickly orientate yourself over the maps. But the only way is to literally physically measure with a ruler every piece of the Earth and the sea bottom, and then putting it all together. That's the only absolute way to do it. And I think that probably with the technology that is around now, they probably already did this through detailed scanning and then just posting it together.
This is what I'm saying. They have all of this done. So everything that we're coming by now has been information fed to us, from the Gleason's map to everything. Look at all when we came into Flat Earth first, there was very few maps around that we could sort of cling to or put our attention to. But now there's thousands of them. So again, nothing new under the sun. And all of this information we're piecing together, I think, is being laid before us in terms of clues.
Well, there may be something new above the sun.
Well, Aristarchus.
Space City.
Aristarchus.
Space City.
Aristarchus. That's all I can say. Aristarchus is the source of all luminaries.
Sorry, can I just ask Arwen a question quickly? Do you think the world's a pair?
No, absolutely not.
I'll show you. I'll bring up a picture to show you what he's referencing when he says the Earth is a pear.
No, what I was saying is that the pear shape has been deduced from heavenly body literalism, which is what the globe entirely is based upon. It is basically the astronomy presumption that they are in fixed positions, and then deducing from that what the shape of the Earth must be. That it is deduction-based reasoning. That is how they came to the globe, and to then accurately improve upon it because of the deviations that have been measured, call it a pear shape. But it's all based on physical body literalism. It is all based on astronomy as being in fixed positions.
But the sky is not tangible. So, I mean, we can't prove pretty much anything about the sky. But
no, you can, but not anything relating to physicality. But you can definitely measure out their angular relations in absolute detail.
Yeah,
and it has been for over the millennia.
But then where do you deduce from that I mean, you're saying that because the stars, they some of them, I mean, are you talking about like in relation to where they are in the sky, that the world's a pair?
Angular relation,
and that correlates to the world being a pair.
No, it is only if you take on the presupposition that they are in literal fixed positions and the Earth is folded underneath that.
Oh, okay, cool.
To account for the strange holographic anomaly that they are really in observation.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's not a trick. It's a magician's trick. It's all presupposition.
Not really, Arwen. I think all these things are known, and I think we live in a world of inversion, right? So if you look upon this as the great game of life, we are constantly making our way along the pathway towards, I guess, maybe ultimate truth, especially if we are greater beings. I don't think we would have entered here unless there was a solution available to us. And this is certainly the way all the chips are stacking up for me anyway. It's just one massive game of clues. And it doesn't matter where you look, you can always be exposed to the truth via so many different formats. So, yeah, we are coming towards the truth. We're not breaking any new ground. That's what I think.
I think that we're clearing up a lot of presuppositional mistakes that we have been fooled into believing as real.
Right.
One at a time, more and more. And we are making a lot of progress here.
I think the conflict.
The psychological obstacles are still very hard to overcome. It's very hard to oversee.
I think the conflict maybe arises between you and, or the seeming conflict between you and Anthony, because you were sort of taking pieces from different areas and piecing them together to formulate your own picture of reality, which is admirable, of course.
Well, I have done this way before. I've already made hangouts about the specific subject in detail.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. So you're sort of like talking chalk and cheese with Anthony in one sense, because he's comparing everything to a fixed model. Of course, we know the globe model is nonsense, but I think we can't afford to throw it out, right? Because we do live in a world of inversion. So if we take what's presented to us as truth, invert it completely, we will probably be closer to the real truth of matters, or certainly a lot of clues will be there for us.
Well, I don't know much about the inversion, but there have been presuppositions introduced to create all these illusions that are very easy for us to swallow, basically.
So you take a coin between your fingers, right, and you rotate it 180 degrees. The space it fills is spherical. I think this is what they've done with the flat earth truth. So because they started on sort of fundamental level, everything subsequently will follow the same sort of pattern. If you invert what is presented to you as truth, flip it 180 degrees, then you will become closer to the real truth. So again,
maybe
it's
part of a step of it.
It's a big game of life, Arwen, and the more I go on, that's definitely the more I'm seeing it, you know.
Yes. Anyway, I made my points. Sorry to derail you in making that guy look like a fool, which he absolutely was, and he had no idea what he was talking about. Otherwise, he would have refuted these inquisitions very easily, and that annoyed the hell out of me. But yeah, Riley's assumption about the South not being able to determine it, South is a concept. And
No,
it
it's
is a
not. It's
yeah, it is. It is a
Shut up,
concept.
Arwie.
It
It's
is
not.
a concept, and it has been determined
Arwin,
in
Shut up, you
accordance
glober.
to the globe of the heavens.
You're a
Arwie,
glober.
There
not
is
a
the
concept.
magnetic south.
Glober. You're a glober, mate.
No, I'm not a
hold
globe.
on, hold on,
Yes,
hold
you
on.
are.
He's right.
Shut
Hold
the hell
on,
up,
hold
Ranty.
on.
Yes, you
Before you
are.
fall
Shut the
out,
hell
hold on, hold on.
Everyone's seeing you.
Hold
for what
on.
you
Shut
are.
the hell up,
There are
Ranty.
many
Arwin,
different.
can I ask you something? Why every time that a glober comes in and they're on the ropes and we've got them on the ropes, why do you always jump in all the time?
Well, because it's being handled in a wrong way. We're basically just we're squishing them for their foolish
And it's
behavior,
fun.
but we're not actually
Let them
attaining
learn
any
as well.
useful information out of it.
Yeah.
What, you
let them
think
get
you've got
squished.
useful
And
information?
let them get squished and let them realise that the world is flat. Why do you have to jump in and save them all the time?
Jimmy knows the Earth is flat. He's playing.
He was making a huge mistake.
Time.
I
That's all.
wanted to just point it out to him
Hang on,
what his
hang on,
thinking error was.
Let me go back to what you said, Arwin. You said that you could prove South, and then you just said that South was a concept, which makes me think that you can't prove South based on your own definition. But I'd like to just show you what's on screen. Nathan, would you mind sharing? Here's the definition of South, and it's one that we can all relate to. We all, generally speaking, agree with.
Hello?
Do you agree or disagree?
Hi, Jimmy.
Direction towards
You're on, Anthony.
rises
Carry on.
from the east.
It's not a concept; it's defined.
All right. I guess that could work.
Now you have to define East, right?
Hold on,
Well, that's
hold on.
question.
Just before, hold on. I need to get this in because it was what I was desperately trying to get in. It is a concept. That's Anthony's point. So you're kind of talking at cross purposes because in the heliocentric world, it is defined. However, there are several, I think there's 4 concepts of what North and South are and how they reference. So in the world of sphericity, yes, it's defined. In the real world, it's just a concept. So that's kind of what Arwin's saying. And yeah, I just don't want you to have the end of this be that, no, there is a definite South. Well, there isn't. That's your point, Anthony, when you're hammering them, saying, well, you don't know what South is. It's just a concept, which is what Arwin's also saying. So it seems to me, through the boiling blood, you've reached a consensus, but you're now saying, no, South is a real thing, which is like not your argument.
But what I'm pointing out is that when Jimmy got kicked before because Arwin said he could prove South, what I wanted to show that true South or South by Astro, I don't care what you call South and I don't care how you define it. My point is you can't work South out because you can't work out what North is to get East or West, and you can't get South from West and East.
No, but that's not true.
Hang on, Anthony, there's one point of fixity in the sky, right? We can all agree on this. This is the North Star, Polaris Darkus. So this is our starting point. This is our 0-0. So
South, north, east, and west are orientation mechanisms based on deductions and the angular relations of the heavenly bodies. And you can also use the magnetic directions, which have been deemed to be much more unreliable because of the magnetic, how the magnetics are divided among the Earth.
Very true. Very true.
That's just how it is. So yeah, there is no absolute scientifically proven South. It is an orientation mechanism based.
Well, that kind of shits all over Jimmy's point then, because he said if you look north, you see something, and if you look south, you'll see something. But if there is no north and south, Arwin, that kind of craps all over Jimmy's point.
I don't know.
Why does
it definitely does crap all over his point, because his point is you can go and look at what in the sphere world is a fixed point, and he's trying to translate that across by starting with on a flat plane.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now. I think I get it. Yeah. If you say like literally a fixed point, as in a point in a physical, literal location, then yes, absolutely. And that's part of my argument. That's the presupposition to make the world into a globe underneath it.
Yeah, if it's a globe, it's got a north point and a south point, an axial rotation point. But that's a different point, strangely enough, not north or south. So we've got all these different reference points for what is called north and south. Whereas Jimmy thinks that you can go to an actual south, which cannot be determined in the south, because you've got nothing to look at, and you don't know what south is.
Okay, I get it. Yes, you're correct.
Jimmy doesn't know his ass from his Jimmy.
That's not very nice.
Well, you're going to address it this time, now that everyone on the panel is in consensus. Are you in consensus about this, Jimmy?
Sorry, I had to create a new account. because I got binned.
Yeah, that's not the question. You're on the panel. We can hear you.
I've not been. My point is, I've not been keeping up to date with what's been
You
said.
just heard it. You've been on the panel since I gave a summary.
Okay, what was the summary again?
No, you're an idiot. You just lost. You had your ass handed to you.
No,
You can't determine
Nathan,
what
I
South
Go back in
is.
twice anyway, Jimmy.
Nathan, listen, I kicked him because Arwin said he could make his point better for Jimmy than what Jimmy could make it for himself.
All right.
Riley, Anthony, that is ridiculous. Yeah, I've been completely cordial with you. I've not sworn or anything like that.
Oh no, it wasn't a go at you, mate. It was because Arwin said that he could argue your point better for you than what you could.
So you kicked me.
Yeah, because I'm sick of Arwin arguing.
You're here to waste time. That's clear to everyone. You're here to waste time. Simple as that. Do your own question.
No. I'm just making the point that Arwin's arguing points for ballers again, and I don't know why.
You kicked me.
Nor do I.
Yeah, so that's right.
Well, I do.
Listen,
Yeah,
we
you
have
were
one
scapegoated,
reality.
Jimmy.
We have
Jimmy,
one
you were
reality.
scapegoated.
You didn't have to do that, Anthony. You didn't have to do that.
Listen,
No,
we
but I
have one
wanted to
reality.
make the point that Arwin was arguing for you again.
One point
Just by kicking me.
Everyone knows that he's doing that.
rotation we can all vouch for in the sky, and that is the North Star Polaris. Simple as that. You can define what south is according to that central point, but that will be an arbitrary designation based on the model that you choose to adhere to. This is pretty basic stuff. Jimmy here is just here to waste time. We know that.
Why was I wasting time? Pete, is it Pete Shea? Is it?
Man, come on.
I asked a question about the flat Earth or the plane, the flat plane.
Go and try question your own model for yourself. Go and try to disprove your own model in the truth
Well,
science.
I answered your question, by the way, Jimmy. So. hope
No, but
took
you
note
didn't
of that.
prove south, though, Arwin. That was the point that you got. That was the reason why
No
Jimmy.
absolutes, but definitely the orientation mechanism and how that would work on a flat Earth.
Right. And there is a fixity to the shape and contour of, I'm going to say, the barrier above and the earth below. This is the reality of matters, and this is what we're trying to decode, what we're trying to figure out. So forget about models, start with fixities, and the fixity in our sky, anywhere we look up, let me just finish this, and again, just to repeat it, anywhere we look up, everything seems to revolve around one central point. All compasses on the ground seem to point to one central point. So this is significant, and everything then can be based on that. If you decide that you live on a flat Earth and you have a hemisphere of some sort over you, that's going to be a completely different sort of set of components to the model that you'll build up if you decide you're on a spinning ball Earth. So this is what we got to sort of...
yeah, I mean, I just want to ask Jimmy,
just
just 1 second, Pete. So
Thank you, I'm done.
your question, Jimmy, do you feel that was rounded out or not?
I don't think anyone gave me a valid answer. I can't, to be fair, remember Arwin's answer. But Anthony said, no, he can't explain it. Shouty guy from the other week just said, you just see it, and therefore that's what it is. So I don't think I've been given a fair, a decent answer back.
That's fairly reasonable. So that's the conclusion. You don't feel like you're good enough answer. So what I'm now going to do... Hold on, Jimmy. Hold on, Anthony. So, Jimmy, given that you can't establish where south is when you are in the supposed southern hemisphere, how can you... I hadn't quite finished my question. So, given that you think you live on a sphere, why can't you establish what the south point is?
You can establish what the south point is.
No, you can't. That's what the whole point of your question was. It was just referencing flat Earth. So that, notwithstanding the fact that we've just discussed this, why wouldn't that work on your model?
Yeah, maybe like use sun tracking.
Sorry, that doesn't answer my question about specifically about your original assertion, which has now been asked in the opposing, so in the globe reference, not flat Earth. It doesn't seem to... We understand how your model works, and you would need to be looking south. But given that you can't establish that, what do you have to prove your heliocentric bull religion?
I'm saying you can establish south. That's
how do you establish south?
Right. How are you going to do it?
State that you can't establish south.
How do you establish south?
You can't establish south.
Yeah, you can't establish south. How are you going to do it? Are you going to give me something about the sun at high noon again? Because if you are, we're not going there. You can't do anything from the sun at high noon.
That's your problem. I've given you an easy way of...
Yeah, but you can't do it. That's
just talked about declination, Jimmy.
No, even with that, you can't work out south based on the sun at high noon.
Yes, that declination doesn't just apply to Australia, Anthony. Of course, it applies to all of the land masses along that.
You're right.
True, that's true, but I'm not talking about declination.
No, but we haven't got to declination yet. You've got to tell me where south is and how you're going to find it first.
Told you about 15 times. I feel like
the sun at high noon doesn't help you, idiot.
I would tell you again. And again, you're calling me an idiot. That's not
Yeah. Because you claim that you've proved that the sun at high noon helps you determine south, and it doesn't.
Why don't you look up how to work out south without a compass? And you'll find
I know how to do it according to your model. I'm asking you to tell me how it's done on your model.
So, according to that, though, that reference system is with a sun that is fixed with us traversing the sun, correct?
Say again?
Your sun that you are using,
Yeah.
What is that exactly? So you've said use the sun. What's the sun again?
Aristarchus.
It's the big,
hold on.
Big light in the sky.
Sorry?
The big light in the sky.
And is it a fixed point that I can get references from? It's fixed completely.
Well, you did a sun tracking thing.
Sorry, is the sun fixed to give me a fixed reference point? Yes or no?
Is the sun fixed?
Yeah.
Stop
Does it
asking
change? Is it always in the same place at the same time?
Hold
Hold on. Is it always in the same place at the same time?
No.
Oh, right.
There's such a thing as solar noon.
Right.
Do we agree on that? The solar noon? Everyone agree?
How do you establish solar noon?
Not at all.
Hold on. How do you establish? How are you establishing that it is solar noon?
How do we establish?
Yeah.
When the sun is directly above you.
So we're on the equator, are we? So
No.
is that? So we're on the equator, and it's directly above our head. Because where I'm standing, that doesn't happen here. It doesn't go directly above my head. So how do I establish solar noon? Oh, are you automatically saying we are on the equator?
Is solar noon. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, how? I'm asking you. You said we use solar noon. So tell me how to get solar noon.
Right. So you track the sun and measure when the shadow is the shortest. Happy with that one?
Yeah. And what does that tell me?
And that will tell you the direction of north, and then you go the opposite direction, which is surprisingly is south. There you go, no compass.
But it'll be the same day in, day out. You'll be able to do that, and it'll always give you the same result, will it?
Yep. At different times, obviously, yeah, but yeah.
Sorry, at different times.
The same principle every single day.
Okay. And how does that prove where south is?
Because it's the opposite of north. What is this?
Well, when you're standing, I want you to go through your full example of how you will establish south in wherever you're standing, and then reference that to a point in the sky that you can't see.
Let's say it again.
You've got a point in the sky that you claim the stars rotate around. Now, that point is not visible. We can't see it. So, once you've got solar noon and got what you think is south, how do you establish, with something that's physically moving, how do you establish that it is south?
How do you work out solar noon then, Nathan?
Why are you asking me the question I've asked you? I'm taking you on a little journey, little steps.
You have to understand what we're talking about here.
I am taking you on a little journey of your explanation for what you assert about how to establish south. So, we have got our solar noon. We have figured out what direction that shadow is pointing. What next?
You turn around and go in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Like
next.
180 degrees.
Yeah, so I've turned around. I'm turning 180 degrees to my line that I've drawn with my shadow.
Now facing south. And if everyone did that on the continents, you've got south. Brilliant. There you go. No compasses.
Okay, and then what do I do then?
Then everyone will see the same constellation or rotation of the stars around a singular point, which does not work on a flat plane.
So you can see this point in the sky?
Sorry, you cut out, Nathan, sorry.
So what point am I looking at?
What point are you looking at?
Yeah, what am I which you just said turn around and just look, so just look forward, and what you're saying is as it gets dark, what will happen?
Okay, you can take a measurement and go right and make a line saying this is south, and then come back at night time, and everyone did that across the 3 continents to be able to see the southern pole star, which does not work.
We can't see the southern pole star.
Oh.
Southern Cross. Sorry.
Sorry. What is this? Sorry. Now, is the Southern Cross? Are you saying the Southern Cross? When I've drawn that line, I look straight out. Will I see the Southern Cross directly on that line?
You'll see the Southern Cross pointing to the Southern Pole Star.
Sorry, hold on. So I'm looking south according to your solar noon, but I'm now turning a different direction to look at a different constellation. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you find out where north is and then turn 180 and you'll find south.
Sorry.
No.
No. We've figured out which way we're pointing. I'm pointing in a direction and looking, and you're saying that nothing will appear in front of me, and I've got to now look at something else. Correct?
No, that gives you the southern direction.
Focus on the nothing. Be the nothing.
Explain it to me. I've made my line. I'm looking out. Nothing
Yes,
appears
at
in front of me when it... Hold on. Nothing appears in front of me when I see the lights getting dim. What next?
Keep a close eye on nothing.
Right. So we've established that we found the south, okay? So,
Well, no, not at all. We've drawn a line in the sand and then pointed in that direction and looked in that direction. We haven't established anything as far as I'm concerned.
Night times, the stars will come out, and you'll see the Southern Cross pointing to the Southern Pole Star.
Sorry, so I will see something else pointing towards where I need to be looking. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And is that fixed? Hold on. Is that fixed or does that move?
What?
You said something will appear that's pointing like an arrow towards where I should be looking and nothing is there. Does that move, that arrow?
Yeah, the stars rotate.
So what you're saying is they're rotating and pointing at where I should be looking at, but nothing is there. Is that correct?
No.
Well, tell me where I'm wrong.
We've established that we've got south, and then...
No, we haven't. We have drawn a line in the sand and looked in a particular direction.
Yeah, which is south.
Oh, so you're arbitrarily going to call that south? Okay.
Well, most people would.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, we're looking in that direction and nothing's appearing in my vision. What's going on?
Wait till nighttime, don't you?
Yeah, I'm in nighttime. We're assuming that we're waiting for the stars to appear in the direction I'm looking. I'm looking through a telescope at that portion of the sky. It's black. Nothing's there. Nothing's happening.
Is this from your imagination, Nathan?
No, this is what happens. I am looking in the direction that you have pointed me. Nothing's appearing in the telescope. What do I do now?
Maybe take the cap off, Nathan.
Hang on, don't forget you have to look through trillions of miles, Nathan, at nothing. Through nothingness into the
I'm looking at nothing, mate. So, is it because there's nothing there? What's going on?
Just your assertions. It's just assertions that don't make any sense.
No, the Astronomical Society has said this.
No, read what Riley said, which is a comedy genius, if you ask me. He said it's dimly lit in certain situations. It's dimly lit, but you can see it barely see it with the naked eye.
Right. So the naked eye would be looking through this telescope, right? And I take a picture, right, with the same thing I can see, but for some reason, magically, it doesn't appear on the picture, but I can see it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we look at something that apparently we can't take a photograph but can see with the naked eye because we don't have super zoom, we don't have great optics, we don't have things that increase our vision capabilities, we have things that will only reduce our vision capabilities like telescopes. That makes our vision worse, doesn't it?
What?
According to you, I can look at something and then get a piece of magnification equipment and I won't then see it. Because it's worse through the magnifying glass, through the telescope, through the binoculars. Suddenly it becomes worse to the point where I can't take a picture of it anymore. Is that right?
That's just utter nonsense.
Well, why can't I take a picture? If I can see it with the naked eye, if I can see it, I can take a picture of it.
And you can see it with binoculars?
Well, if I can see it, I can take a picture of it, can't I?
Yeah.
Well, why can't they?
They did.
They didn't.
No,
they showed
didn't.
a black screen with nothing on it.
Yeah, but how are you observing the picture?
Well, the picture had nothing on it. It's just black.
You're observing it through, what do you call it, Google Hangouts.
So, I've seen the original. Anthony sent it to me on many occasions when discussing the lunar rover that was also told to me by an observatory that we could see it, but we couldn't see it. It was there, but we couldn't really see it. Same sort of thing.
No.
Hey, Alan.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Alan.
Hi. How's it all going?
Well, we got some confusion. Apparently, we've got something that we can see, but we can never take a picture of, like a unicorn or a fairy.
It was Anthony that said you couldn't see it, but could take a picture of it.
Well, no, we can't capture a picture of it. So if we can't capture a picture of it, but we can see it, it's like a fairy. It magically disappears when you get your camera out.
It doesn't.
Can I just clarify what it actually said and what it means? It said that you can only see it with the naked eye on the darkest of dark skies, and you can't capture it when they try and capture it with a lens, a camera lens. So basically, we have to trust that we can see it with the eyes, and we can't verify it unless we go find a very dark part of the night sky and see it with our own 2 eyes. And apparently, then you can see it. Now that to me smells like a just so story.
Tony, have you considered that sentence?
Yeah, you're telling me I can see it, but I have to go there to see it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right, because it can't be verified to be true.
Tony, if you can see it with the eye, you can take a picture of it.
Can you see it with the eye, though? That's the point.
He says you can in the words that you brought up.
So how come he can't photograph it then? That's the point.
Exactly.
You retard. That is the entire point.
That's your misunderstanding.
The point is that we have to take somebody's word for it that they can see it with their eyes, but we cannot produce evidence because they are saying they cannot film it. This is the whole point.
Exactly.
Why don't you Google it? There's plenty of pictures.
Right. Also, while you're there, I have, and I guarantee you this, Scout's honour. Right, I'm going to put myself on camera. I promise I've caught a leprechaun. Right? Now, unfortunately, that leprechaun is incredibly shy, and for the mere price of £200, you can come and see the leprechaun. But you cannot take pictures of it because it vanishes if you've got a camera even in the near vicinity. So I do have a leprechaun, but you cannot take a picture of it. You can only see it with the naked eye. So that's it, yeah, basically.
Well, big Jesus, Nathan, this is my lucky day. And me being Irish and everything, I've been looking for that fucker for ages.
No swearing.
Language.
Anthony, can you bring up those words again, please?
Well, I'm just telling you. So leprechauns, yeah, easy to prove, but only with the naked eye. You cannot produce evidence of them on camera. So leprechauns are real. Okay, I'm telling you that. You accept that, right?
This is an adult debate, isn't it?
Do you accept what I say? Are you saying you don't accept what I say?
Nathan, if you listen closely...
It's a simple question. Do you accept that I have in my possession a leprechaun, yes or no?
I have in my possession of...
I don't care what you've got in your possession. I'll ask the question again. Do you accept that I have in my possession a leprechaun?
Today's broadcast was brought by the...
Do you accept that I have a leprechaun?
Is this... You've got a leprechaun in your pants, you're just happy to see me.
Why is this such a difficult question to answer, Globeheads?
Who are you asking?
You.
I don't, because I don't think leprechauns are real.
Oh, really? I don't think Sigma Octantis is real.
Well, then that's your folly.
That's your folly, then. You don't believe in leprechauns because you're clearly a retard. Yeah, you can laugh it up, mate. The standard is the same, you dumbwit.
We're trying to have a debate about something, and then
yeah,
you talk about
and the standard of my leprechaun is the same as the standard of this star, you dumbo. But you don't accept leprechauns because you just don't accept them. I don't accept this star because I just don't accept it. But apparently, we can see it, but we can't capture a photograph of it. It's magical, just like a leprechaun. But you don't accept leprechauns, right? On some man's word. But you'll accept their word, even though they back it up with a photo of it not being there because you're an idiot.
Nathan, share my screen and read the blue, the letters that are illuminated in blue. And then tell him what that means again, because he doesn't get it. He thinks that because it says you can see it, it means it's factually there. My point
that's too small. Can you read it? I can't. It's too small.
Oh, sorry. It says, quote, it's talking about the stars that are in the close proximity of the rotation point. He says, these can only be seen naked eye in the very darkest of skies. Now, that to me sounds like a just so story, right? Because he's telling me that there's a unicorn in the sky, but it's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Only the intelligent people can see it. And I'm thinking, are you telling me I've physically got to get on a plane to Tasmania to be able to see this thing? Why can't you take a long exposure, which is what I asked him to do? And he did. A 10-second long exposure from the Astronomical Society of Tasmania, and he sent me back the crappiest picture that I've ever seen from anything. Now, if I produce this as evidence of something, this low-res embedded image in the picture...
You understand astronomy, Anthony?
Bear with me a second, because I've also... Let me just take it off you a second, and I'm just going to go dig out mine. Bear with me. I'm just going to put on screen my picture of the leprechaun. So this is for the audience now. You can see it on screen. It's in a black square on screen right now. That's my picture of a leprechaun. Awesome, huh?
True Secret on the channel.
Just click on Sleeping Warriors icon if you want to see the picture of the leprechaun. That's how good you can get it. I mean, seriously, that's how good I got the picture. See it? It's just here.
It's amazing what you can see from nothing, right?
Amazing. I'm circling it just for the audience. It's right there.
I can't see your cursor, but I'm sure it's there because you tell me it's there.
It is. I'm circling it. I'm circling it, man. It's there. Obviously, okay. No, some people at home might have a low resolution screen. That could cause a problem.
Bit of focus. I think a bit of focus
could be a bit blurry. But like I say, the leprechaun, you know, it's difficult to capture on camera. You know, you can have a try when you're here.
We go back to Anthony's words, please.
I can't really see it myself, but you sound so honest in your delivery here, Nathan. I think I can see it.
It's not me, man. It's well documented. I'm telling you now, just like Jimmy, there's thousands of pictures of leprechauns out there. Thousands. You'd have to be a fool not to believe in them. Because there's thousands of pictures. People have caught this thousands of times. Just like Sigma, right, Jimmy? Lots of thousands of them on the internet. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. Wow. Amazing standard of proof you got there, mate. Amazing.
But also, you can go yourself and take the picture. You might not find the leprechaun there.
Yeah, that's right. You might not.
Yeah, you might not find the rotation point either.
You could do it yourself and then prove it.
Or, well, you could, other than the fact that you can't, because you can't catch it on film. So that causes a bit of a problem.
And you come back and testify that you found nothing, Jimmy, right? And point proven. It's there.
I mean, Pete, are you actually going along with this? This leprechaun thing is a valid argument.
Listen, something is after occurring to me, which makes this whole experience worthwhile. Because, yeah, we got to move beyond these basic points. You have no argument, Jimmy, and Nathan is making a fool of you, man. You need to stand up to your side a little bit better.
Jimmy, can I just add to it? Nathan, just present my screen again for the audience.
Please do. Please do.
Sorry, I was talking to my daughter. Were you talking to me?
Yeah, just present my screen again.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
So I'm going to read because it's in small and I can't get it any bigger. Basically, this is what he's saying to me, right? I've asked him, can he get octans? Because I wanted to see it. And he says, quote, "This means that octans is only really naked eye visible in dark skies. Any form of light pollution rules out seeing them at all. I live under a dark sky and I'm able to make out the octans triangle without too much trouble. And then I said, can you take a long exposure photo showing it on a DSLR, for example? And then he says, yes, a 10-second exposure at high ISO settings and full aperture for a DSLR with a 50mm lens, right? That's rubbish. Anyway, we'll start to reveal all of the key stars in octans. And I said, would you be able to do this for me somehow? And basically, when he sends me back this picture, original is attached. This has come through without any compression. It should be on this one here somewhere.
Yeah, scroll past the unicorn picture.
Here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Tony, do you think he was trolling you?
Wait. It says, as promised last year, I took a 10-second exposure of the southern polar region to help give you some perspective on the sky view. I have identified the southern celestial pole with a small star, and he did put another picture in here. But basically, this is the picture without the annotations on it, which is what I asked him. And what he's saying is this is supposed to be a 10-second long exposure, which he previously claimed it would start to reveal the stars that are in the rotation point. And trust me, they're along this line somewhere, but there are no stars there. After telling me that he would get it with a 10-second long exposure, he didn't get it.
Show it big, Anthony. Show it big. Can't see it that well.
No, that's the way I got it. So what I've got to do to be able to get
hold on. I'm not going to let that slide. Yes, please. I'd like to see it bigger.
Right. So let me open Paint then and put it in Paint because this is how I got it off him. I didn't get it. It's embedded into the picture, right? Into the email. It's not come as a file, so I have to make it myself, right? Which is ridiculous.
It's not the biggest image for starters, but carry on.
Yeah, but this is what he gives me, right? With a 10-second long exposure using Astronomical Society equipment.
Tony, do you think he was trolling you?
No, he's not allowed to troll me, is he, right?
Serious question, though. Did he just think you were like a pain in the arse and sent you a black picture?
No, I don't think that he can actually demonstrate that octans is even there. I think that it appears to be there and you can see it with the naked eye, but you can't capture it. So that makes it sound like unicorns.
Have you Googled it, though?
Oh, right. So Google gives you all the answers.
Anthony?
Yes?
You do realise that that's not what you would use for astronomical equipment. Would use that. You'd have a telescope and stuff.
Right, do you want to say that?
A DSLR for 10 seconds, but a normal astro picture would be, what, 5 minutes exposure?
you want to say that again without stuttering like rumpus? I didn't understand what your question was. Do I understand what?
Okay. You would normally have an exposure for 5 minutes, not 10 seconds for starters.
Not according to this guy. Would you like me to read it again? He clearly states for 10-second long exposure, which is huge, a 10-second long exposure at high ISO with full aperture for a DSLR with a 50mm lens, that's not true. You are never going to see it with a 50mm lens. But anyway, we'll start to reveal all of the key stars in octans. But when he does it for me, he doesn't produce it. So my question is, well, why? Why is it? And I get that it's low magnitude, but is it even actually there? That's what I want to know. And that was what I was asking at the time. But my point was at the time, why we can't see south, right? That's the first point, because you've got to see south. I've got to see south in 2 different continents, and we've got to prove that it's south, and we can't do it. Now, Arwin claimed...
That's not right. We can do that. And
no, we can't, because you don't know what your other reference frame is. So what are you going to do it to? East, west?
North. That's my reference frame. It's north.
Right, so how are you going to get north?
I'm not going through it again.
But it doesn't do it.
That's your problem.
No. You've given an answer that you accept to be true, but it doesn't give you south.
Deja vu over and over and over.
South. You can't ascertain south.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. You can't do it.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't, because you've got this thing called declination, right? And if you accept declination, then you're not looking what the compass says. If you don't accept declination, you're not accepting your model, and declination is not even your model anyway.
We're talking about true self, anyway.
Who cares? You still can't ascertain.
That's the whole point of the thing. Who cares? That's the whole point of the thing.
Sorry, so not understanding then. Sorry, I need to get a bit of clarity. You said true south. So there's magnetic south and true south.
Mm-hmm.
And which one has the rotation point?
True south.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right, well, here's the other thing. Let's just say that let's go with you, right? Why does the evidence for 2 rotation points in the south from the observer in 2 different continents, when looking due south, why does that evidence not exist?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Your belief has no evidence for it, because you cannot get 2 observers looking due south at the same time, seeing the same stars in the night sky. You can't. That evidence doesn't exist. Now, you believe it because it's a logical presumption, and I agree that it's a logical presumption you're both looking south. But there isn't any evidence that proves that you in Australia, when looking south, sees the same stars as me in South America, seeing the same stars.
The star trail from Australia and the star trail from South America.
Yeah, that evidence doesn't exist.
That evidence doesn't exist. Do you really honestly believe that, Anthony?
Go and find it and come back to us if you ever do.
I can't find anything. I know it's there. You look for it.
I have looked for it for months and months and months. That's why these emails were sent, you moron.
Yeah, you've not found us. That's nonsense. That's nonsense.
There is no evidence that 2 observers.
Conversation over and over again.
There is no evidence that 2 observers in the south, looking south at the same time, see the same set of stars. You guys accept that it's a logical deduction, and I agree, it is logical. But there's no evidence to prove it's true.
There's no evidence for you, Anthony. That's the problem.
It doesn't. I don't need evidence for my model that I don't even have a model for. But you guys need to have evidence for
I'm
it.
going to say that again, Anthony. That was really good.
Yeah, I don't need to have evidence for a model that I don't subscribe to.
No.
I don't know what's going on. But you guys claim to know all the facts. So you guys need to have evidence, and you don't have evidence of 2 observers in the south looking south at the same time, seeing the same set of stars. You don't have it.
I don't like your tone, Anthony.
I don't care. You're a moron and you're not listening.
Come on, guys. Come on, relax. Relax.
I'm relaxed, Alan. I'm very relaxed.
Well, on a different point, just because it's on a similar vein in terms of an observatory in terms of their information. So the moon landings would have us believe that they left a lunar rover on the moon. Would you agree?
Yeah, you can't see it, apparently.
Well, would it be reasonable to assume that you could have a look at it?
Well, they say that the craters are like 40 miles across, and you can clearly see them with the naked eye. But for some reason, a telescope's not able to resolve them because it's, quote, too small. Yet the craters are like 40 miles wide, and you can see all the crater. So they're telling us that they can't see the lunar rover because it's too small, but they tell us that the craters are 40 miles high.
Anthony, it's about 6 foot or something like that.
Yeah, but we can see the crater that it sits in is only 40 miles, according to them.
Exactly. Yeah, listen to the statement that you're saying. You're talking about
that's like the distance from Liverpool to Manchester.
Why can't they do it when it's like Why can't they do it when it's a why can't they see an 8-foot cart compared to a 40-mile crater? Do you know how ridiculous that statement is?
No, it's not ridiculous because there are super powerful telescopes that should be able to do it, and none of them can do it.
Why should they be able to do it?
Because
well,
it's not.
I'll tell you how the conversation came up. So it was made. The assertion was made to me that basically a guy I used to go to college with, an ex-tutor at the college, said that he had been to Goonhilly and seen the lunar rover with his own eyes at the observatory. So I grilled him on what he actually saw, and he explained that he had seen on a monitor, not through a eyepiece, the lunar rover on the moon. So I thought, well, that's fascinating. I'll actually get in touch with them because I want to see it. If I can see the lunar rover on the moon with my own eyes rather than on a monitor, I mean, that's second best, but I'll see what they can come up with. So I contacted them and said, a friend of mine has explained that he, when he was younger, went to your observatory and you showed him the lunar rover on the moon. I'd like to do the same. It took a while to get in touch with them because they were shut down, refurbing various different things. But somebody did eventually get back to me. And, I mean, I might as well just read the actual email. If I can just move my mic a bit closer so I can actually read it. Dear Sir or Madame, thank you for your reply regarding the lunar rover and the reasons I can't see. Oh, no, that's my reply. Let's just scroll down. I'll give you the original email I sent to Goonhilly. Summarise exactly the same. Dear Sir or Madame, I am writing to see if you can help me regarding the ongoing debate regarding the equipment left on the surface of the moon following the Apollo landings. It is my understanding that the rover cannot be seen with a domestic telescope. I would like to dispel the theory that the world we live is a flat plane. I feel that I can see if I can see the equipment on the moon with my own eyes, I can go back to a normal life and stop making flat Earth videos. I'm certain this debate can easily be put to bed with the help of Goonhilly. I look forward to your response. The response, Nathan, the moon is approximately 400,000 kilometres from Earth. That's 400,000 metres. The rover is approximately 2 metres across. That's a ratio of 200 million to 1. 360 degrees divided by 200 million equals 0.000000018 degree. That's 0.0065 arc seconds. The angular resolution of the Hubble telescope is around 0.5 arc second. So, you wouldn't even see the rover using Hubble. I don't think you'll be able to see it, therefore, with any Earth-based telescope. But it is there. Goonhilly team. So that was their response to me.
And that's just like saying the southern rotation stars are just there. You can't see them with any cameras, but you can see them.
Anthony, that's wrong. What he's saying, you can barely see them with your naked eye. If you had some sort of thing like a camera or a telescope, you could see them.
No, that's not. No, he says the opposite.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. He says you have to have. What does he say? He says you can just about see it with the naked eye. Let me read it exactly what he says. I mean, I've been through this like twice. Did you not see it before?
You not get it. You don't understand the words that you've received, and you keep spouting them off. I don't understand why you don't understand them.
All right, so let's go back to it again. So Nathan, if you could present my screen for me, and let's go through the wording again, and let's tell me where I'm getting this wrong.
And on your point, Nathan, I just did a quick little search. You'll need a telescope that's 75 meters in diameter to be able to see the buggy thing.
Yeah, that sounds like another Just So story, though.
Well, that's what they've worked out. But the biggest telescope's what, like 10 meters wide or something like that? So it's impossible.
Oh, that's a shame. But it is there, right?
I don't know.
Well, we can see it, but we can't see it, but it is there according to an observatory. A bit like this star we're talking about, that was the point.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Well, that's the problem. We have to take their word for it that it is there, even though we can't see it.
But you can go and see yourself or ask people in those countries or continents to go and do it. So it is there and you can take a picture of it.
No, you can't take a picture of it. That's precisely what he's saying. Anthony, can you read it again for about the fifth time?
That's you parroting Anthony's incorrect assertions of the
let's
the words
hear it again. Let's hear it read out again in context.
I'm just trying to find it.
Not again.
Well, he's claiming that I've misunderstood the point, and I think it's the opposite way around. I can't remember where it was that I was reading from.
Take a breath. Take
That's
time.
with me.
Why don't I read a poem and then you can...
Yeah, read a poem.
You.
Okay. Yeah. This is a poem for all flat earthers. It's called Nathan.
Right. I'm not that interested in hearing this poem about me. It, in fact, makes me feel physically sick just listening to Alan describe the fact that he sat at home on his own writing about me. It's just gross. You know, this pervy old dude, whoever he is, making poems about us. Ugh, gross.
Yeah. Who the fuck is Alan B anyway? I mean, Alan, show your face, man.
All right, so I found it.
I actually wanted to hear that.
You're obsessed with my face.
Yeah, but don't come on to someone's show reading
Anthony.
poetry about them, right? Because
Pete,
that's
come
not
on.
polite.
Pete.
Right, so what's your name? Jimmy. Do you want to tell me how I've got this interpretation wrong? It reads, quote, "The real challenge is to see it as it is a magnitude 5.44 star. The brighter stars in octans are magnitude 4. These can only be seen in the right. So the brighter stars of octans, not the star Sigma Octantis itself, but the brightest stars within octans are only 5.44. The brighter stars are magnitude 4. These can only be seen naked eye in the very darkest of skies. Right. So when it says only be seen, that means hang on. It means
no, stop right there, Anthony. Stop right there. These can only be seen with the naked eye in the very darkest of the skies.
Yeah.
These can only be seen naked eye, as in saying with your naked eye when it's the very darkest of the skies. It's not saying,
what's going on here?
It can only be captured with the naked eye. It's not saying that at all.
Right, but then when it comes to the point where he claims that he can capture it, he tells us in the email right down at the bottom. It says, he says, this means that octans is really only naked eye visible in the darkest of skies.
Exactly, really only naked eye visible in the darkest skies.
So I said, can you take a long exposure photo showing it on a DSLR, for example? And he says, yes, a 10-second exposure at high ISO setting and full aperture will start to reveal all of the key stars in octans.
Start to reveal.
Yeah. So when he sends me the 10-second long exposure, there's no stars in the picture.
Sorry, can you put the star picture up? Because at the moment you've got the picture of the gremlins or whatever they're called. I've forgotten what I called them now.
Nathan.
Great, here we go.
Picture.
I think this one's the stars one.
Right?
I get these two black pictures mixed up. Yeah, one of them's leprechauns and one of them's stars, and I think this bigger one is the stars one. So yeah, the leprechaun one's in the background.
Can I just point something out very briefly, and I'll leave it at that? Can you see the vaguely circular pattern that's been formed, or semicircular pattern that's formed there, and then you have a dark black space in the middle?
Yeah, so you're
This is very significant. Look at all the circular patterns. And you talk about, I think you mentioned it was named Polaris Octantis. Now, there's another tie into Polaris as well. So if you look, I posted a video in chat of a close-up of Polaris. It's almost, you see the circular pattern as well. It's almost like we're dealing with a negative and a positive, you know, and in one big sense, this is exactly what we're dealing with. So this is, in spite of all the repetition, this has helped me greatly.
Pete, listen, Pete, at the risk of derailing the point, just shush for us a sec.
Off you go now, I'm finished.
Jimmy, can you show me where these stars that are claimed to be in the picture actually are? Because I haven't changed this picture. I'm just trying to find the stars of which he claims should be there.
Not a good picture, Anthony.
Pardon?
Not a good picture.
Right, but this is from the Astronomical Society, their equipment.
I know.
He told me that he would be able to get it, and I can't see it.
Normal astronomy, you'd be looking at 5-minute exposure. And
no, that's rubbish, because in 5 minutes, the stars in 5 minutes have moved, and you get lines.
That's why you use a tracking mount.
But a long exposure on rubbish.
Hold on. He says you use a tracking mount. So do you think the Astronomical Society has got the ability to track stars, Anthony?
Yeah, but he might do, but he hasn't done it.
Might do. They're the Astronomical Society. You're telling me you don't think they have the capability of tracking a star?
No, listen, Nathan, he's contradicting himself with the techniques, because if you have a long exposure, right, it keeps the aperture open, so the stars are moving in the night sky, so you're gonna get time the star trails. So that can't be the reason.
Tracking mount. I've said it several times.
Yeah, but the tracking mount's not right. Even if you did that right, you're still gonna see the stars. But he claims by his email that, yeah, with 10-second exposure, with the DSLR, blah, 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 you should start to see them, right? And I don't see them in the picture.
Start to see them. Should start to see them.
Yeah, should start to see them means we're not seeing them. Should start, we don't. There's nothing there. It's just a black screen.
But the thing is, if I was if this was a flat earther presenting evidence
on that
claim, and you get Alan that says things like it's just a smudge, I'm going to say it's just a black
Alan's
hole.
here.
This is just one guy,
Alan,
Do
do you remember when you call Ranty's pictures smudges? What do you make of this?
I think this guy is seriously taking the piss out of Tony.
I think he's taking the piss out of everybody.
I think he is too.
So don't use it then.
Sorry, it's the Astronomical Society. Are you telling us that they're not a legitimate source?
He said you should start to see it. Normal astronomical.
Yeah, an astronomer has told us we should start to see it and then sent a black frame. So should we take this guy seriously? Should we take him seriously? It's the Astronomical Society, for God's sake.
So
it doesn't seem very cool when they say we will see this. Anthony asks him to take a 10-second exposure, and what he sends back is his failure to get it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't get it though.
Oh, right. So we just trust him. Anthony, can you move this black one out of the way, just so I can show the leprechaun picture? Right. Do you see the leprechaun?
There's a leprechaun in this one.
Okay, great.
Do you see it or not? Because it should be there with a long exposure.
Do you understand anything about...
Do you see the leprechaun? Yes or no?
No, I don't. Do you understand anything?
Oh, right. We don't see the stars, idiot.
I'm not an idiot. That's not
Yeah, you are an idiot because you're believing the Emperor's new clothes because he says they should be seen, right?
Misunderstand English.
We should see the Emperor's new clothes. We should see it if we look hard enough, right?
This is what you go down to, Nathan. Leprechauns and stuff. I'm trying to have a...
Yeah, stars that we don't see. There's no difference. It's the same picture, you idiot. I was joking. It's not really a leprechaun. It's the same picture, mate.
He's trolling, isn't he? He's trolling.
I'm not trolling. I'm trying to get...
Yeah, it's the Emperor's new clothes. We don't see anything in the picture. They just tell us it should be there.
Just start to see it be there.
Yeah, we should start to see it. We should see the Emperor's new clothes if we look hard enough, right?
He's just wasted your time from the very start, and he's brought everything back to the same question that he came in with whenever he came in first.
Still not answered it.
All he's done.
You still not answered it.
There you go.
Talking about, you told us we should look south and see a star that we've got on screen now. It's a black screen.
It's not a good picture to see it, though.
Oh, right. So the Emperor's new star should be there if we look harder on a dark enough night.
If you set the correct exposure for it, you'd be able to capture it quite easily.
Oh, right. Sorry. The Astronomical Society got the exposure wrong. These amateurs at the Astronomical Society don't know how to set exposure, right?
Well, no. I know.
Well, no. Oh, right. Well, why should I trust any of these pseudoscientists?
Don't.
I won't. We don't. You do. You idiot.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah, you are. You're telling us that you trust the people who tell you we should see the Emperor's new clothes.
I can understand the words that he said.
Oh, right. You can understand that we should see it if we wait long enough and there's a dark enough night. Okay.
Have you guys photographed the stars yourself?
Oh, right. This is what's called a red herring on a loss. We don't see anything. Are you going to be a poor loser? Are you going to try and ham-handedly segue away from this loser?
Yeah, he's segueing. That's what he's doing.
I'm asking you a question.
A loser. What we've got on screen is the Emperor's new clothes, and you still believe it. The audience sees you as a muppet. Do you understand that?
I'm according.
You're a stuttering muppet. That's what you are.
So?
Stuttering muppet. That's what you are. Stuttering muppet.
Tony, serious question.
Shut up, Tony. Right, we're going to hear this idiot Jimmy stutter like an idiot.
So what if I've got a speech impediment?
No, you haven't got a speech impediment. You're just being a moron.
Yeah, you're just an idiot. Yeah? You think we can see the Emperor's new clothes in this black page. We don't see the Emperor's new clothes, my friend. You might think we can stare longer at him, but he's naked, mate. You're just an idiot.
If you squint, will you be able to see it?
You can see him naked in the picture if you squint really hard.
The simple is that the picture I've got in front of you is not a good enough exposure to see the star.
My bad. The Astronomical Society maybe can't do as well as Anthony if he books a flight and goes over with a set of binoculars. Not a camera.
Right?
Go and take...
You're not right. Wrong. You should have alarm bells going. You're just stupid. Yeah, it's the Emperor's new clothes.
Okay.
Yeah, not okay. You should be outraged like I am. It's not okay that these people tell us we should see the Emperor's new clothes when we don't.
Nathan, send him to go and get an image of it.
Yeah, get on a flight. Dumbo. Get your ass on a flight, go and look with the binoculars, and then tell us that you saw it, but you can't show us with a picture.
Where's your image? Where's your picture?
Where's the picture?
Yeah. You went all the way there to look at it, and you didn't even take a picture.
I'm not an astronomer, but I've seen it myself.
You went all the way there.
Oh, well, the Astronomical Society, they are astronomers, mate. But apparently they can't get the exposure right. So we're a bit buggered, really. What's going on there? The Astronomical Society can't get it right. You can't get it right. But it is there. He is wearing clothes. He's not really naked.
Nathan, listen, for the audience who's listening and people who are listening later on, look at how much time we spent convincing this guy of something that's blatantly obvious, right? And is overwhelming evidence against his case. But what we haven't done is actually examine the picture ourselves and see what might be going on.
Yeah, but we can examine lots of pictures. There's one on screen right now. And the problem is that Globers simultaneously tell us that this picture isn't really there. It's not really there because the Earth's curved, right? That's what they tell us. Then they tell us that we need to verify by presupposition that we're on a sphere, looking at lights in the sky that have been determined with longitude and latitude systems based on exactly that, begging the question fallacy, that we can look south with these celestial bodies as reference only, not magnetic. Yeah, they tell us that's true, right? Then we look and there's nothing there. And they tell us that it is there. So this picture on screen right now, that's not really there. That's not real. We can't really see it. Yeah, these turbines, yeah, same thing. Shouldn't see it. Isle of Man, no, you can't really see it. It's just a hologram. You can't really see what you can actually see with your own eyes. But when we look at a star, yeah, that's not there, we are told that we can see it. It's the biggest world of double-speaking nonsense bullshit you will ever encounter if you actually had any critical thought. Jimmy doesn't have any critical thought. All he has is belief. There's no other words for it. You're a believer, Jimmy. That's all you've got going for you. Belief in what this guy tells you while you simultaneously tell me that his exposure use isn't good enough.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I will tell you, who's trying to figure out what's going on, notice the circular patterns in the clouds, the Vesca Pisces. This is what it's all about. These are all reflected artifacts of one emanating source, which is Aristarchus. And the clue is always in the name. So, yeah.
Pete, talking about names, is Pete Shea your real name?
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the live panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!